It's the Santana Show. Interesting guests and insight in good conversation with Naomi Santana. Lock in. Listen. Engage.
Welcome to another episode of the Santana Show. Today, my special guest is Ms. Bianca Rae, anchor at Spectrum News LA. She received a dual degree in broadcast journalism and Spanish, as well as a minor in sociology. She interned at KTLA and E! Entertainment. She has her own organization called the Bianca Rae Foundation in Palm Springs, and she also used to work at KESQ. Welcome to the show, Ms. Bianca.
Thank you for having me. You were so well-spoken and fabulous, and I'm excited to be on your show.
I'm excited to speak with you.
Well, we followed each other on social media, so it's nice to get to interact this way as well.
I know. And thank you for connecting with me on Instagram, by the way.
Yes,
you are a very friendly person.
I actually really enjoy communicating with people and corresponding and looking at messages and answering them. I know some people don't maybe, but I enjoy that. To me, it's part of all of this. And you know, you wouldn't have a newscast if you didn't have an audience and viewers, right? So whenever I hear about viewers and meet them, I don't know, I genuinely appreciate that. So I love getting to meet all of them.
And that's very nice of you. All right, so how did you become interested in journalism?
You know, ever since, looking back now, I could really understand I was a little journalist in the making. I didn't know it then, but looking back now as a little girl, I was so inquisitive and I was always asking questions. My teachers tell me I was literally always, but why? But like, really why, I truly remember always wanting to hear people's stories, whether it was sitting at recess or sitting at lunch. I loved hearing people talk, and I would always, further the conversation and kind of be almost like a little adult. It was very weird. I was always a little older than my age, facilitating conversations and connecting people, all those things. Then come high school, I was a part of Youth in Government, an after-school program where they created a mock government and people ran for governor and legislature, this and that and the other. I auditioned to be a part of the media. It was a big mock election happening where we voted in a governor. So there was obviously media covering it. I auditioned to be the anchor. I got chosen as the anchor. I remember I was a sophomore and they told me that apparently I was the youngest anchor ever chosen. And that just dawned on me like, oh, wow, that means I must be good at this thing called anchoring in media. And basically we were all at this hotel in Springfield, the capital where I'm from. I'm from Chicago, the capital of Illinois. And basically this election was happening. And if you turn on your TV in your hotel room, everybody saw me broadcasting the news of the mock election. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the communication process, the fact that everybody was looking to you for the delivery of this, really important, timely, fascinating, life-changing news, right? And I really fell in love with that process. And that's what catapulted me going to school to study broadcast journalism.
Wow, that's a fascinating story. And like starting off so young, that's just fabulous.
And I always loved performance, and I always really loved connecting people, and I was good with people, and I appreciated people, and I brought things out of people, and it kind of was always there. Now I look back and I think I was a journalist in the making.
Yeah, exactly. You were born for it. So what was it like interning at KTLA and E?
Oh, it was fascinating, especially being so young. I was 19. I think it was like my sophomore, junior year. I forget like the ages of college, right? Maybe I was like 19, maybe 20. And it was amazing being in the real world. And to this day, I believe that what ultimately got me hired right out of school by such a great station as KESQ and such a great location as Palm Springs was the fact that I had real world experience. I went to this amazing college, the University of Missouri. I believe I had a great skill as well, but at the end of the day, I had made a lot of mistakes already in college and internship days. So I was kind of already like ripened and ready to go and be a professional. And they said they loved that I had real world experience. KTLA was amazing. E was amazing. They let me go out on interviews and shadow people and even sometimes do the interviews. And I truly, it gave me a taste for being in a real newsroom and learning the fast paced nature. I mean, still to this day, there's things that I do truly that I remember oh, I remember I saw this anchor doing and I loved that. And, you want to, you take it. I'm such a proponent of being your own person, and I'm very against, emulating, if you will. But I also believe that there's things you can learn from people and then take and make it your own, like make it Bianca. And there's still things that I remember thinking like, oh, I love that this anchor does. I love that this person does. I'm going to figure out how to, do it the Bianca way. And there's still things that I think that I've learned in that internship, both those internships, that helped me be the, newswoman I am today.
That's fantastic. And it's also interesting to see that you were able to get those internships while you were still in college. Because I know it's hard, it's competitive. So
and something I'm very proud of, and I love telling the stories because I had no, family context in California. Nobody's in the industry. We didn't know anybody in television. I literally remember Googling broadcast internships in Los Angeles, and KTLA popped up, and I cold called them. And I just was like, just this naive, brave young girl calling from college in Missouri, and they liked that. And then they, flew me out for an interview, and then they liked me and my work ethic, I guess, and got the opportunity. And then same thing, that was one summer. KTLA then invited me back for the next summer. And that second summer, I wanted to have another internship. So that's when I applied to E. And same thing, I was just so like overzealous, calling them. And I remember I had a phone, but she asked me like one question, something like, oh, tell me a little bit about yourself. I apparently go on for like 8-9 minutes. Well, I have no more questions. You're hired. It wasn't hired. So it was you're, chosen as the intern. But I just felt like ready to, myself. I just was like so ready to have this chance. And I think that was just exuded through the phone. I don't know.
Yeah. That's amazing. It's just like you're just putting yourself out there. Gotta love that, right? You just put yourself out there and you're ready for this. You're like, I can do this, and I'm ready for this,
You gotta be confident and aggressive, but like kindly
exactly.
aggressive.
There we go.
Being like aggressive. But
kindly aggressive, you said?
Yes, kindly aggressive. Yeah. You take life by the horns, you are assertive, you make it be known what you want, but you say it in a kind, humble way, and you put the work behind the words. And I believe that's what kindly aggressive means.
Yes, exactly. What was it like working at KESQ? Can you tell me about that? A little bit more about your experience at KESQ and like how long were you working there for?
Yeah, so I was hired right out of college. I was a reporter when I was 22. I worked there just until before I was 30. I moved to the LA market right when I turned 30. So about 8 years, and I loved it. I loved KSQ, everybody there, Palm Springs, such a special place in my heart. I was hired as a weekend reporter for a small 2-year contract, I believe, and that turned into an 8-year stay in the desert. What turned into them promoting me to weekend anchor and then subsequently morning anchor, entertainment reporter in between that, and giving me the space to cover entertainment, red carpets. I always hosted the Palm Springs International Film Festival. I anchored the morning show, and it was just a wonderful experience. I mean, I 100% am who and where I am today because of KESQ. And I have such wonderful memories of being there. I mean, I was a kid. I was literally chubby cheeked right out of college, all the college pizza, wore way too much makeup, wore, way too loud of clothes, everything. I feel like I definitely have grown into a mature lady, but I was a girl. I was young, and they let me grow. The audience, the viewers let me grow up on camera in front of them, which I'm so grateful for. KESQ let me kind of learn who I was and grow up there. And when you're young, you have I was general assignment. I covered everything from a groundbreaking of a library to a triple homicide out in Thermal to a car crash, deadly car crashes, to fires, to red carpets. I mean, it runs the gamut. You just kind of have to be ready. You have to have your car packed full of things. You have to say yes to everything. I mean, still to this day, I'm a believer in saying yes to things and working hard, because there's a lot of great glamour fun that comes with the job. And I don't know. I feel like you also have to say yes to the not glamorous things, the hard things, and to make it all fair and as it should be in the industry,
Yeah, exactly. Now that you mentioned glamour,
Uh-huh.
there's always misconceptions about your job. Some people might think that it's like, oh, it's so glamorous and it's like the best thing, but what are some misconceptions that people have about your job?
Yeah, I mean, first off, when you guys see a product on TV, you see an hour newscast or a 2-minute red carpet interview, or they see like a clip. I feel like they see like the finished beautiful cake that just came out of the
Hmm.
oven. And you don't see, though, the grocery shopping for the ingredients, the research of how to bake it all together, the actual baking of it, the burning it in the oven a couple times and having to do it 3 more times till you get the perfect cake. Yeah, I'd say a misconception is that it's easy, or that people that maybe don't know me or my past, you just have come into my life or found me on Instagram recently. They think that it's an easy, glamorous job. They don't know, going to college. I studied in the university for this, and internships and sacrifices you make, right? Friends maybe staying in college for summers because that was fun. And I would go and do an internship, right?
Hmm.
To make like hard choices sometimes, or working weekends, working holidays, missing family, and having to move far from home when your sister gets to stay and live down the street from your family. I think some of that stuff is not as much talked about, or when you find an anchor, a news person that you love at heightened point in their career, you don't always know where they were 10, 15 years ago. So I love sharing all those stories because I think it's important for young people too to know, like, you have to, it's cliche, but you start at the bottom, right? And don't
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you when you're starting at the bottom. Like, be happy that you have the opportunity, because honestly, like, I started at the bottom in a small market as a weekend reporter. There's probably, I don't know the number, a lot of people who didn't even get that, right? Who didn't even get the
Yeah.
opportunity to start at the bottom. So be happy
Hmm.
that you have the opportunity to even start, and then work your way up, right? And grow. But and still to this day, even though you're in maybe your dream market or having your dream schedule or your dream job, there's still a lot that is really difficult of putting stories together. And even when you're anchoring, reading heartbreaking news, covering breaking news about mass shootings, and when we're sitting down at an anchor desk covering breaking news, your knees are shaking under the table, like your stomach, you're feeling not nauseous in your stomach, because what you're reading on camera for people to hear is heartbreaking. But you have to maintain composure. That's hard too. That's
Hmm.
really, when you're sharing the worst news in the world that some people will hear, and it's coming from your lips, you have to do it with compassion and authenticity. That's a challenging part of the job as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I
Mhm.
know. I actually had a job shadow last year
Oh yeah.
at KESQ, and the producer that offered the job shadow for me, he showed me everything, and I was like, whoa, this is a lot of work that people don't see, like you said.
Right. And the thing is too, that I think is important to understand, when you're young, you want to be the anchor, you want to be here. I truly didn't even understand it until I understand it now. I mean, to be a better reporter, you should know how to produce. To be a better anchor, you should know how to report. I mean, I still write stories for the newscast that I read. I still shoot and edit stories, as a reporter, going out and reporting stories. It gives you context. You're working your journalistic muscles. It gives you context to talk about when you're covering a fire, anchoring for 3 hours, covering a fire. You want to be able to reference fires that you were out reporting on. Otherwise, what are you going to talk about for 3 hours? I mean, it gives you meat and nuts and bolts, and like, yeah, I actually remember covering, you could understand why these, the difficult conditions for these firefighters. I was actually covering a fire out in Anza a few years ago, and dot, 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 you finish that sentence.
Uh-huh.
It gives you experience to pull from.
Yes, exactly.
And not to mention, when you realize how hard everybody else's jobs are, I just sometimes, in this industry, I don't know, it's, if I hear the way certain people talk to other people, I'm like, did you know how hard their job was? I mean, I always like being so gracious and helpful to producers or cameramen or makeup artists, everybody. Like, when you know how hard everybody's job is, you could appreciate where everybody's coming from. It just gives you empathy, I guess.
You've been listening to The Santana Show with Naomi Santana. Interesting guests and insight with good conversation. You can follow Naomi on Twitter at Naomi Santana 45 and The Santana Show at The Santana Show _. Please subscribe to The Santana Show on YouTube. Thank you for listening. Join Naomi again next time on The Santana Show.